So, what were the trending searches during the Super Bowl? Welcome back to Techstination. I'm Fred Fishkin. Joining us from Google is trends expert Smirti Sinha. Hi, Smirti.
Hi, how are you doing? Thanks for having
Terrific.
me.
Well, pleasure to see you. Well, it was a dominant show of force by the Philadelphia Eagles during the game. But what are some of the things that dominated search trends? I guess we can start with the commercials.
Absolutely. So, like you said, it was such a great game, but we've seen that as people watch the Super Bowl across the country, what they tend to do is they tend to like use Google and YouTube almost like a second screen. They're watching the game, but they also are curious about a lot of things. So they look up a lot of things on Google, they search things, they rewatch and watch the ads on YouTube, they catch up on the halftime show and any highlights they miss. So you mentioned commercials. So what we did at YouTube was we looked at the top views for all the ads that the brands went out with this year on YouTube on game day. So booking.com was the number one most viewed ad on YouTube on Sunday. And then the Ram trucks, I don't know if you saw those ads. People were really curious about those. They were trending the first couple of quarters. And sure enough, they ended up being number two on the most viewed list for YouTube.
And the Seal Mountain Dew commercial? Tell me about that.
Yes, people found it surprising, funny. People had a lot of emotions about it. It didn't end up being on our YouTube top 10 most viewed list on Sunday, but it sure got talked enough a lot.
And there was that gimmick where they had Stitch running around the football field for one of the spots.
Yes, so many of those things. Super Bowl tends to be the biggest moment that, ads get such a limelight. Ads are in such a limelight during the Super Bowl. People from across the country like tune in for the ads. Super Bowl invites a lot of casual fans. So sure, with all those gimmicks, we had like eyebrows flying in one of those ads. People were searching Martha Stewart commercial because one of the ads that had a local spot like made it look like it was Martha Stewart. So we saw a lot of that kind of stuff from brands.
And she did a Skechers spot, I think, right? So the top trending NFL search during the game was, I guess, what was the biggest comeback in NFL history?
Yes, yes, biggest comeback in NFL history because you know the score. It was like, it was such a one-sided show for so long and people saw nil on that scoreboard for so long. People were almost like wanting a real game out of it and they were probably hopeful and looking for like, well, what have the comebacks been like in the past and like what could we see happen here?
Didn't happen. So, well, there were searches, of course, for different football terms during the
Mhm,
game.
mhm.
Tell
Yeah,
me
yeah.
about that. People watch this who aren't really familiar with football, right?
Absolutely. That's what, a lot of football fans get a chuckle out of those searches. But, as I was saying, the Super Bowl is such a cultural moment. It's not just for the biggest football fans, it's such a cultural moment that it invites a lot of casual football fans. And that's why we see a lot of searches. People are even searching, what does flag mean in football? And for a football fan, that might be like easy peasy, but we saw that. We saw what does blitz mean in football. We saw what does pick six mean in football, and it's an interception from the defense that ends in touchdown. But we see a lot of that because people come to the Super Bowl often for the ads, for the halftime show, for seeing like what celebs are there at the stadium, and we see a lot of those searches. But it's great. It's great for the game because it, adds more interest in the game.
Right. And talking about the halftime show, Kendrick Lamar, what were people searching for?
Yes, there was so much interest in Kendrick Lamar in the halftime show. People were searching for, you'll be surprised by this one, how tall is Kendrick Lamar? And we've seen that in the past too. People are curious about these kind of things. People are searching for what brand shoe is Kendrick Lamar wearing. People were searching for what does the A mean on Kendrick Lamar's jacket? Where is Kendrick Lamar from? People had a lot of curiosity about that. And then he brought on some surprise guests as is almost like halftime show tradition to bring like surprise guests, and people are like, wow, was that really Serena Williams? That was one of the top searches.
Very interesting. And of course, there was search interest for the Philadelphia Eagles, much deserved. Tell us what people were looking for.
Absolutely, absolutely. Much deserved win. And guess what? One of the top searches was why does Philly grease pole? And if any of you all don't know the story, the city of Philadelphia greases its poles in the city because they want to deter like pole climbing if the Eagles win. So that was a breakout surge.
In other words, people climbing for the celebration, climbing the poles on the streets.
Yeah.
Very interesting. So, and the players, lots of searches for players, I'm sure, during the game.
Absolutely, absolutely, and that's really common. We see top search players is one of the most searched thing we see. And for the Eagles, I want to say that Jalen Hurts was the top search player, and then Cooper DeJean was number two for the Eagles. And among the Chiefs, the searches were pretty much around expected lines: Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelsey.
Well, again, there's lots of info out there on what the search trends were. Where can people find out more?
Yes, absolutely. If people are looking for more trends, they can go to trends.google.com. And if people want to rewatch the ads, want to look at some of the ads we talked about, they can go to YouTube Ad Blitz channel. They can go to YouTube and look up Ad Blitz, and that's where they can find all the ads.
Terrific. Smirti Sinha, thank you for spending time with us.
Thank you so much for having me. You have a good day.